This one's been extremely popular lately. It just came out. This is the LG G2, correct?
Correct. So the LG G2 is LG's new top-of-the-line phone. Before we get started, I just want to point out there's been a few bugs that I've had with this phone, and it looked like it was just exhibiting one of those. Oh, now it's all working. Anyway, we'll get into that a little bit later. So the LG G2 is their top-of-the-line smartphone. There's a lot in this phone. It's running Android 4.2.2. It has a really large display coming in at 5.2 inches.
It looks gorgeous, too.
It is, and this is a 1080p display. So this is coming in at 423 ppi, so higher than Retina resolution.
Wow.
There's a whole bunch of sensors. You got your normal proximity sensors, your gyroscopes, your accelerometers, that sort of stuff, and a whole bunch of different noise-canceling mics. You have one at the top, on the back, on the bottom, so it cancels noise pretty well. In terms of what is underneath, the horsepower has a quad-core CPU, which means that running games and things like that is absolutely nice. Using the phone, it's buttery smooth. It's really, really nice. Very, very fast in that department. It has, I believe, 2 gigs of RAM, and it is a 32 gigabyte storage for the phone. Now, the hardware on this phone is by far the selling point. It has every checkbox selected. This is an LCD display instead of a OLED. But where it falls short is definitely on the software side. I'm going to go back to the home launcher here. The home launcher has a lot of things automatically added, which you may or may not want, like weather widget, things like that. You can see that I've actually kind of decided just to ignore the home launcher. I really didn't like the way that it transitions between pages. I didn't like a lot of the stuff that it did. I didn't like the app drawer over here on the side. I didn't like how they decided to display apps. So I went ahead and launched Nova Launcher, and that's how I decided to use my phone. So I went ahead and modified the phone. Next is something you use every day, which is notifications. This is your normal notifications pane, and you can see that you don't have not 1, 2, 3, but 4 rows of crap that is incredibly hard to disable. Originally,
but you can get rid of it.
You can get rid of 1 row. You can get rid of QSlide here. I could not get rid of any of this. And I tried installing drop-down shade notification, a notification shade modification. It's a lot of words that all sound slightly similar. And they don't work as well as the stock notification shade. So I was really bummed that the stock notification shade has all of this cruft. One thing is this QSlide, which when I got the phone, either I did not realize what QSlide was, or it was edited out. So if QSlide is gone, and we can go back, now that button is gone from this menu, so I can't get rid of QSlide. You would think that if you took it out of this first menu up here, it would just delete out of here. QSlide is sort of like a basic app tray, another app tray in your notifications. But this is only for apps that they've approved. You can't. There's no way to add your own apps. This is only for apps that they have approved. And what they do, what they do is, let's say with Calculator here, it's an app that hovers over. There's no. You can't, and once again, this is kind of why you need their approved apps. This is the Calculator. You can do some things like adjust opacity. So if, let's say that you were in some sort of, you were texting with a friend and you wanted to use the Calculator, but then move it out of the way and read the threaded conversation and then bring it back. You could do something like that. It has a whole bunch of other, and also just to point out, because I didn't know that this was a feature that I could get rid of for a long time because I had removed it from this area, let me just show you the dumbest thing in the world. You would think that if you removed all of these apps, so they're all gone, that tray would suck up and it's gone. But no, you're left with a gigantic edit button because it's still there. You'd think, if I remove all of these Q Slide apps, I don't want any of them. Okay, let's make that thing go away. No, you still get this ginormous edit button that you cannot get rid of, which was a huge bummer. On top of that, I normally have a few programs running all the time that take up a notification, like BitTorrent Sync, Trillian, which is my chat service, and Audible. And if I have all of those enabled, I get a full page of stuff I cannot get rid of because of all of this taken up by LG's stuff. Now, of course, you can scroll up and get to your normal notifications. It has a few other things built in, so let's go ahead and load up a few apps. This is a way to save apps off to the side. If you use a 3-finger swipe, you can save apps away off to the side. Let me do it with Maps as well. It's going to find me in Petaluma. That's our studio. And so I've saved it off to the side. And so if I want to, I can 3-finger over, and I can see the apps that I have over here on the side. I could flick them away if I didn't want them, or let's say I want to get back into my Twitter client. I could, and then I could get rid of it. Now, if you do that, if you pull them back and you say, you know what, I'm back in Maps, that's great. I'm going to go home. Let's go back to Nova Launcher and bring it back. Well, Maps. Nova Launcher. You can see why something like this is incredibly annoying.
It can be irritating.
There's no reason for it. Did I get rid of? Apparently, I got rid of both. I got rid of them both somehow. It doesn't stay there. If you go back, it's gone. It's gone now. It feels like every single software interaction that they tried to add on top of the phone fell completely flat. Some of the other things you have, I need to kind of bring them back here. If I bring back Q Slide, well, anyway, some of the other things that they have are actually, I do need that. I need to bring back Quick Memo.
Your hand looks great today.
Thanks. I need to bring back Quick Memo. They have some quiet mode, quick remote, those sort of things. These all come on the phone when you get them. So here's Quick Memo. What this does is it basically takes a screen grab of what you're looking at, and you can write on the screen. Let's say you don't want the screen behind it. You can drop down a little note, and you can write stuff on it. This all comes pre-installed. You could even do something like, let's say that you were like, okay, Mom, your email is this one right here. This is the email that you need, okay? Always use this for email. Don't use any of the other apps. You can actually offer this mode that allows it to place on top, and it's there. Now you can actually use the phone, and it's still there. So
That's cool.
you could do that. It's kind of a neat feature, but it comes installed on the phone already. This isn't a feature that you can decide that you don't want.
So they have quite a bit of bloatware
They have
already
quite a bit of bloatware. In fact, it was hard to count the amount of bloatware. If I go down into settings has changed. This is a heavily skinned version of Android 4.2.2. Settings, of course, look super different. You got your display set. You have the Samsung-esque smart screen features where if you're looking at the screen, it'll look at your eyeballs and see if it should keep the screen awake or not. You have that sort of stuff. But if I go into apps, you can see a lot. If I go over to all, there's a ton which I have disabled. You can see the little disabled thing next to them. This is featured apps, file manager, Facebook, device help, over here, City ID, clock widget,
so
all
lots.
of these things, lots, AT&T Locker, Messages, Navigator. I mean, there's so much bloatware on this phone, it is ridiculous. So let's get into pros and cons. First, for the pros, this is definitely a fast phone. I really do like the quad-core GPU. On top of that, I really liked the screen. It was a really high resolution device, higher than Retina, and that definitely had me on board. And then finally is battery life. I found that there's a 3,000 mAh battery in here, and I just loved it. I was never worried that I was going to run out of battery. In fact, sometimes one day I forgot to plug it in at night, and I managed to coax an entire extra day out of the phone. I was definitely heavily like turning down the screen and making sure that apps weren't running, but I managed to get 2 days out of the phone, so battery life is not an issue.
And that's with average use?
And that's with average use. I mean, that's with me using, I mean, you can tell I've been using this as my sole phone for the past 2 weeks. Okay, so for the cons, any of the software that LG put onto this phone took away from the experience immensely. Everything from settings to the home launcher to even the unlocker. They've added the stupidest looking lock screen. Here's this bug that I keep running into. For some reason, it's not detecting all of my finger swipes at once. It seems like if the haptech has screwed it all up. Sorry, I hit the, there's 2 settings buttons right next to each other, which drives me nuts. One, lock screen is under display, which makes no freaking sense. It should be under general and then under security, but it's under display. So if I change my lock screen away from pattern, and turn it to, well, here, actually, one thing, before I do that, let me lock the phone, bring it up. They do have one feature that I really liked, which was guest mode. So if I use a pattern which isn't my normal pattern, it will launch into guest mode, which has only a few apps, which is kind of a cool feature.
So if you want to let somebody make a call
hey, I have the newest phone, check it out, here, put it in guest mode. So now if I put it into swipe, and let's use Particle as the default, and I'm also going to turn up, I don't know why I keep going home, I'm going to turn up the phone, but here's Particle. Oh, it's so beautiful, oh my gosh. Let's also, instead of Particle, let's do Dewdrop, and this time I am going to turn up the phone. Dewdrop is this. Here, I want you to listen to this sound too, so it does that every single time you Bloop. Open the phone. Really, some just horrible design choices. One thing that I do need to mention is that the volume rocker is not on the side like you would normally suspect. It's on the back of the phone. So you have a volume.
So this is a big thing that they've been touting.
You have volume up and down, and this is your lock button. There's also an LED around it. So if you turn on your phone or you get a notification, this LED will light up. So you have a status LED on both sides, which is kind of nice. Do I like this feature? No, I don't care for it. Putting this here does not help in any way in any ergonomic situation. Many times I found myself putting my thumb on the front of the screen so that I would have enough leverage to unlock the phone, which just puts a big old fingerprint on the screen. I don't find that this is any more useful than something on the side. If for some reason you have, I mean, I don't even think that there's a disability cause for this. And also, many times I would try to search for it and smudge up my camera there. And so I'd go to take a photo and then have to unsmudge the camera and then take the photo. There is one thing that I do like, which is you can hold down the volume button and then it launches. I think if you're locked, if I lock the phone, you hold it down and then it launches into the camera app. And then you can also use any of the volume buttons to snap a photo.
Oh, that's nice.
In terms of photos, this is a 13 megapixel snapper on the back and a 2.2 megapixel snapper on the front. Great photos, absolutely love them. Especially with 13 megapixels, you could zoom in, crop. I was taking lots of video for vlogs. You can see eventually we were on the bay for the America's Cup. And you can see cats, you can see cheesesteak, you can see me, you can see...
The camera looks pretty good.
Yeah.
I'm not sure about low light, though.
So this was the best low light example that I have. We were in a bar, and there was enough light to capture the photo. Low light was not perfect. It is not something that can deal with the Lumia line of phones. We were really testing out, you can see, here's all the tests of low light, like jumping up the gain as much as possible.
Yeah, I believe we were testing this against Alex's phone.
Yeah, against Alex's phone. He had a Lumia, I think it was the 1020. His phone totally bested my phone. But you could still, this was definitely very low light, and you could still get what you wanted. This was on the bay, we were on a ferry, and you can see that there's a pretty good amount of detail in this. This is, I think, an already cropped photo. Here's a full photo, and if I zoom in there, You can see all the little boats in there. I mean, this was pretty impressive, the 13 megapixel camera. It also has optical image stabilizers, so you get that as well. Sorry, I was in my cons.
You totally went to a tangent.
I did.
I
went into a big tangent before, but and then the back controls were my secondary con. Was that I didn't really love this. It made me smudge the camera. It also has an LED flash.
So would you give it a buy, try, or don't buy based on that?
This is a very hard decision because truly the hardware is phenomenal. The software makes this device the worst device ever. I would not suggest this to anyone who has a career, unless if your career happens to be in the pink section at the Walmart toys. Because it's just too cute, it's too fluffy, unless if you're going to modify
I've heard that from more than one guy
the heck
here.
out of this phone. Unless if you want to change your launcher, change your lock screen, change your drop down, change everything about this phone, and you are sophisticated enough to do all of those things, that's the only way that I would suggest this phone. So, on the top, buy, try, don't buy, this is a don't buy. The software just takes this phone to a level that is way below the standard level of flagship phones. Don't buy. If you are someone who can modify, who doesn't mind ROMing this phone or changing tons of settings, spending hours changing settings, which is what I had to do to get this to a usable state, then it is a try. But that is just about it for the review of the LG G2, and this is on AT&T.
Okay. I'm a little bit surprised that you gave it a don't buy first off.
It's unfortunately
and then a try.
LG's own fault because the software is so unusable,
Yeah.
so bloated, so horrible, and unuser-friendly, just not needed.
I think when you have such nice hardware, it's always true fact. I mean, just leave it stock Android. Just leave it stock. Don't put the bloatware on there, and you have something good there.
Yep, but if you want to buy this and root this phone and put a clean mod on it, I so suggest it. Because hardware is, the glass is Gorilla Glass 2. It's not Gorilla Glass 3, it's Gorilla Glass 2, and it's nicely kind of chamfered on the edges, feels great in the hand.
Yeah.
The back gets a little bit.
It's lightweight.
It's lightweight. It's thin. The back gets a little bit of fingerprinting. You might want to see the fingerprints on the back. You can definitely tell the plastic back has lots of fingerprints. But other than that, here you go.
Let's see.
It's the weight.
Oh,
it's 5
wow.
ounces.
Yeah, I can feel a big difference between my phone and your phone, which I'll get to this one in just a second. Thank you, Chad, so much. Of course. Where can people find you?
People can check out my personal YouTube channel at youtube.com/omgchad. I do before you buy. I do This Week in YouTube, which is twit.tv/TWIYT, and OMG Craft, so twit.tv/OMG Craft, which is a Minecraft show.
Yay! It's very fun. Actually, one of my little cousins watches it.
Oh, good.
Yeah, it's so cute.
Good.
I introduced him to it, and
Awesome.
he loves it. Yeah,
Awesome.
he's
Thank
like
you.
9 years old, so don't curse on that show, okay?
I won't. It'll always be family friendly.
Thank you so much, Chad. That was an excellent review. I
Thanks,
appreciate it.